Hey everybody, Saturday, May 9th. Had about 2 weeks of everything growing and woke up this morning and yep. Life gardening in cold weather climates. Let's go take a look at the pond I've been digging. Haven't done any videos about this guy yet, but it's been, I would say, 2.5 days, maybe 18 to 20 hours worth of digging, laying, planting, all of that. You can see I've started kind of planning out some of the rock ledges. Well, this is awesome. So yesterday, the water was not nearly this high. I would say it's doubled in depth since last night when I left. You could step back down into that very bottommost area. As I was digging, we had to keep bucketing out water, not quickly, but it seeped continuously, so made myself some steps going down. Nice little ledge in case anything fell. I wanted everything that might get in there to be able to kind of claw its way back out. So steps, gradients, all that jazz. You can see we mulched the mounds a little bit. I knew the weather was coming, but I didn't think it was going to be snow. Weather report when I went to bed said that it was going to be about 1/2 inch of rain over the course of 8 hours. It has been 13 hours. It's still going. And see, his elder has started to wake up just now, recently. Hopefully this guy will be okay. He's been in the ground for 2 years, so should be pretty well acclimated. You can see some of the crab apples had started waking up. Almost all of the raspberries. We have comfrey coming up in the ground. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's kind of shitty out. Yep. There's some autumn olive that started leafing out. See this guy just waking up. Some gojis, some strawberries. Hell, even my lupines coming up. Everything. Over here, when I got too tired to dig, came over here. You can see I've cut back and left all of these. They are Staghorn Sumacs in the ground as coppice material. Underneath the majority of those guys is Apios americana, or groundnut. It's a perennial tuberous ground cover vine layer. It needs about a year or two to get established, but once it's there you can reliably dig up the little tubers, string of beads, like a extra starchy potato, lots of protein. Just in front of that vine layer, we have this row here of sea buckthorn. That's right, folks, when I got too tired to dig, I dug elsewhere. So we have Sunny, and then a Lord, which is the male cultivar right here. We have a couple of raspberries interplanted. But there is my Lord Seaberry. You can see him just starting to break buds. And he's pretty happy. And then I have Mary, my other Seaberry. See the growth coming in on these guys. And then because there was a little bit of shipping damage, I have a cutting I took of Mary. There's a little bit of root mass. I'm not entirely sure what happened, but stick it in the ground is what I say. Right to the front of those Seaberries is going to be, so the Seaberries grow to be about 8 to 12 feet tall, so they'll come up over where these coppices are. And the groundnut likes a little bit of shade, and if I turn this way, I'll go slow. So if I turn this way, the sun comes up right about there and comes up over, hits this guy, and then these guys, and then sets over there. But it doesn't hit this pine till about 2 or 3 in the afternoon. So this slope right here gets some of the most sun. We're trying to create a nicer visual barrier, something nice. You can almost make out the pond back there, lower pond at least. And if I come over this way, you can kind of make out some of the bones of some of the things that we've been doing back in the woods. But once I can get the tractor back there, clear up a little bit more, we'll make a follow-up to that. But getting back to what I was talking about, in front of the Seaberries, because those are going to get to be about 8 to 12 feet high, in front of them I have some honeyberries, Haskaps, Lonicera ceruleae. So this is Indigo Treat. She's brand new. I have a honeybee who does not seem... I would not call her the happiest of plants. You can see down at the bottom here, you have a little bit of budding out. And a little bit of growth. It was literally 65 degrees yesterday. And then one more honeyberry over here. You can see that one breaking bud as well. And if you're wondering about the tomato cages around my berries and aren't familiar with our site, that is old growth paper pine forest. Used to be logged everywhere. And we've had several bears come through. There's deer, wild turkeys, all sorts of wildlife. Back that direction is another 60-some, 70 acres, uninhabited. And then back that way, past that other tree line, and kind of back that way behind our neighbor's house. It's another 70 or so? I don't know. I don't own it. Doesn't matter to me. Shrub layer. It's going to be the honeyberries. And then I have a couple of comfrey crowns that were planted. We've also put some root cuttings in. It's kind of a barrier. Help contain. It'll take a few years for the Seaberries to really start suckering out at any kind of real distance, but I'd rather have the comfrey in place. There are also some rhubarb cuttings in there as well. We'll see how those take. Another autumn olive going gangbusters in its sight. Get a little closer to this. Now, in some of the areas that we're in, this is considered an invasive species. Here in Maine, not really supposed to have it. I'm waiting for some other nitrogen-fixing plants to come into maturity before I chop this guy back and replace it with a similar niched species. Something else that produces something that's wonderful for the wildlife around, something wonderful for me. I'll usually, off of this bush, the one you can see underneath that bent branch, the little thicket you can see there, and that guy, I'll usually take a couple of buckets of berries off of these and leave the rest for the birds, which is probably why I have such a problem with it. But either way, you can see some of the trees planted. Now it looks like they're all in a straight line going this way. Hey, bud. It looks like they're in a straight line going this way, but if you look, there's this guy and this guy on a particular elevation of the slope going back that way. Yeah, don't touch that. It hurts. You can see the same with the lilac, the other apple tree. We've got a Nan King Cherry, some Honeyberry, and there will be a Pawpaw up there soon. So all of that is meant as a way to kind of break up that grade. If I drop down just a little bit, you can see. Yeah, you are helpful. Yes. Okay. If I drop down, you can see how steep this is. And those are just meant to kind of help break up the topography so we can trap more water, feed the plants that we want, and give it a little bit more structure. Some of you might be saying, well, wait, I thought you were all into permaculture, food forests. Where's your food forest? This is what it looks like when you've barely planted anything in an area. But we also raise rabbits. So we'll be using this to pasture some of them, running trials with that. You can see my plums have started leafing out a little bit. I'm hoping that they do all right. We'll come back and check them in a little bit, a few more hours. Make sure that they're still hale and hearty. That's a worrying sign right there, but again, it's been 60 degrees for 2 weeks. Plants are receiving all the right signals to start waking up, and then, again, this. This guy, I wasn't sure was going to come back at all this year, actually. This is a small deciduous shrub. It's the New Jersey tea tree, Ceanothus americanus. Nitrogen fixer. Got this guy when it was not looking happy at all. But I like to take sad looking plants and rehabilitate them. Do what I can, see how they do. And if they work, I'll make more. Little walk around. Oh. Got one of the Nan King cherries in this sheltered area under this pine tree. This guy was another little sad stub of a stick, but you can see him coming out. And you'd think that under this great big pine, slow pan up, it's not really a pine, it's a tamarack. But under this evergreen, you'd think that it was way too shady. for something like this little cherry. Except it gets all this sun. Sometimes it's about paying enough attention to the track of the sun, whether you take a camera or you just take a few days every couple of months, just kind of make a track in the sky. You could pay money for a fancy app like something that tracks the sun. The photographers' apps will do this. Videographer apps will do that too. But spend more time outside. Play with your land more. And then one last little surprise, and then I'll wrap this up completely. Walking around the other day, and I discovered, hiding amongst the grass and the clover, is this massive, massive, massive wild parsnip.